Happy Friday, December 15, 2017. This is MMA Junkie Radio's pre-show, the show before the show. I am Goes, to my left, Gorgeous George. He's the host of the show. He's the heart and soul of the show. To his left, MMA Junkie Radio's fight analyst, that's Dan Tom. And back in New York is Danny Olgers. And in studio, we have Mark from Bakersfield. You can't see him, but he's there, and I promise you he's there.
He was at the last Junkie Gathering. It was his debut gathering. Speaking of the gathering, this year's gathering goes down in September. To be exact, it's the 20th through the 19th through the... Wait, why am I talking on my ass? 19th through the 22nd. However, I'm promoting Goes' 40th birthday is the 23rd. Stick around for an extra day. And in the past, Tuesdays have been amazing, so you might as well roll in on the 18th. Hell, no one's stopping you from rolling in on the 17th or 16th and rolling out on the 24th, 25th, 26th. There's actually people that have been here for like 10 days.
The whole month.
Just a second a month.
Yeah.
Just come in September.
No, there's really people that have stayed here as far as like that Wednesday. I'm like, man, I'm thinking you're still here? But they, you know, they're able to fly out Friday and they extend their trip. Some people like to precede the Junkie Gathering and then they start running out of gas on Wednesday. Right? The people that come in Sunday, Monday, all of a sudden on Wednesday and Thursday, you're like, you coming out? Nah, I'm tucking in tonight. Why? Oh, man, you should have seen Monday and Tuesday.
Monday and Tuesday is usually, it's chill, but when things are chill, you tend to drink more.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
So on the days where we have heavy pace, we don't really do much drinking until like late at night. So when people show up early, yeah, we get a little tipsy on that Monday. Sometimes even Sunday night.
You guys were hammered when I got in Monday night last year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because everybody's coming in, and the first thing they want to do is buy a drink or buy someone a drink. And yeah, I remember that. We were kind of smashed. That was a fun surprise. Then we surprised George the next morning.
I know. That was a lot of fun. The whole time, like, telling you, I don't think I'm going to come. Like, that was hard. Nobody slipped up.
You know what the hardest part about that was, George? Was hiding Danny in this room, because we kept thinking if you're coming around that corner, you may see him if he's tucked in under the desk or something, and that would just ruin everything. So I think we had to stick the chair in. We really had to smash him into that corner.
Oh, I was laying under the desk in between two chairs. Yeah, you weren't seeing me at all. I'm good at hide and go seek. No one ever.
Why did he hide there? Why can't he just hide way down there and sit in a normal chair and just put a hood on him or something?
10?
I don't know.
Because I had bright blue hair. Same way.
You didn't hear the part about the hood?
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMA Junkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position, because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Gold. This is what we do and why we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMA Junkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMA Junkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMA Junkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMA Junkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Go.
From the fight capital of the world inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes, our co-host. Becky's handling all the producing duties, Danny Aldo, and of course our latest addition to the show, the fight analyst himself, Dan Tom. What's up, guys?
Man, when you go out of order, it really throws us off.
From the fight. All right.
Yeah.
So you want?
But I like it.
Goes Dan,
Sorry,
Tom,
sorry.
and Danny.
Yeah, because I'm pointing up here. Dan's going like this. Then he's flipping it. I'm going the other way.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've always been a fan of
goes this.
seniority.
It goes that.
And I'll give you an example. Watch when I type out the morning previews. Usually all the editors are in seniority. And then everyone below goes in seniority. But they go in seniority of
I
groups.
like that.
So it goes, Dan. And then if you'll see Morocco, Bon, Fernanda. You know what I mean? Ken, Abby, and then
really like
Chris
that.
Perone. Same thing with when I text my buddies. It's always in the order that I met them. Because they're all pretty much my close buddies. I met my buddy Woody in 2nd grade. I met my buddy Gabe when we played football. I played with him. So 2nd grade was 7 years old. I met Gabe at 9 years old. And I actually didn't meet Sammy the Squid till about, I was like in 4th, 5th grade. And I went with Johnny Keel. Remember our neighbor? Yeah. He had a baseball team, and they just needed a runner. I wasn't on the team, but they just needed a runner because they were working on pickles and stuff like that. Caesar was on that team. And Caesar's just one of those names. Squid's real name is Caesar. It's one of those names you just kind of remember. Later on, he went to St. Anne's. And at age 13, 14, when we all went to Modern Day, I just remember Caesar. I go, hey, you used to play with the Mets. Yeah, whatever. And so that's basically where him and I became better friends, was through high school. So rather than just figure out who's who, I've always just said, when I met you, seniority, you know, and that's how I group people. So in this case,
I like that.
You'll always be introduced first, and Danny Otto, I think, has earned that. And then our latest addition is Dan Tom. Yeah.
Do you know how I do it? I'm letting out a big secret right now. But if there's ever a group text or email, I usually put the person that at the time in my rankings that I like the most first. And then I go all the way. And that's my way. If you ever get a giant text or whatever, if you're one of the last guys, it's my way of going, oh, yeah, and I remembered you at the end.
I hope Junkie Nation's taking notes of this because the timeline is not coincidence. And I'm realizing I'm at the end of a lot of things.
Well, I won't do that for a lot of things. Like a group text like that. It's just whoever I'm. Like when I did my NFL
that's the way I
roundup.
look at it. When I get it, if I see my name at the top, then I think, oh, he remembered me first. So I just do that to everyone else. It's kind of a dick move, but it makes me laugh.
When I did the NFL roundup the other day, I think I was basically looking at the scores and seeing who in Junkie Nation is a fan. And so that one didn't have really much to do with seniority or anything. It may have worked out that way. It was only 4 people. But you know what's funny is I was going to rail on the Giants. So I was going to include Ford in there because they had lost. But Ford is kind of an ally of mine on Sundays, because we're always going against the Cowboys fans and the Raiders fans. So I said I'm gonna leave them out. Then I thought, who else is a Giants fan? I know Kim from Las Vegas is a Giants fan, but I thought, well, she hasn't really been active lately. I don't even know if she'll get it. And plus, sometimes females aren't too wild about you just tossing their number out there with the others. You know what I mean? But regardless, here we are. It's Friday. It's December 15th. I want to be clear about something. Next week, we only have 2 shows. Then we're off for the Christmas holiday. But we've been coming in early and staying late to record some original programming. So, Danny, if you can take it from here, explain to everybody, we have at least 2 original shows coming, and then maybe a replay or a best of. What can people look forward to on the 20th? Or, sorry, the 19th, the 20th. Wait, I'm looking at September of 2018. Hold on.
I think it's the 20th, the 21st.
1st, 22nd, and 25th. Yeah, how have we lined that up?
Well, I don't know exactly how it's going to be, but as far as I know, Wednesday's going to be a replay.
Okay, of Tuesday, right?
It's either going to be of Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
I think at this point we can pick. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly how that works. We might be able to pick, like, say we have a
Monday might be better because we'll react to the fights in Winnipeg. I think it'll be more raw, you know. We'll really be feeling it.
All right. And then Thursday we will be having our naughty and nice. No. Thursday we will be having what we most recently did, one of our top 10s. Do you want to give that away, or do you want it to be a surprise?
I think people expect it every year anyways. Might as well say it.
All right, the top 10 best fights.
Well, it's gonna be more than top 10 fights. I think we've each come up with 10 by the time we're done with that one. But yeah, we'll talk about the best fights of the year. and then we have Naughty and Nice. So we
Yeah,
have some original
Friday
programming.
and Monday will be like Naughty and Nice and some other Christmas holiday related programming for the rest of the days, and then some of those will be replays of those.
Yep. So again, the 20th, the 21st, the 22nd, and the 25th we're off. We'll be back on the 26th through the 29th. So 4 days as a lead-in to the big fight card, that's taking place to close out the year, UFC 219 on December 30th.
I want to do something because I'm in the giving mood. And normally before the shows when we hammer this out, but we didn't have much time today. We figure out today's Block Friday, so you pick 2 artists, right? How about you and Dan pick an artist each? And
Oh, we haven't done it for today yet?
We haven't done it yet.
Okay, I got mine. Tom Petty.
Prince.
All right, I could guess.
That's terrible.
They're both great.
We never use them ever, so
Did you say Prince because he's wearing purple?
I don't know. I don't know why I say anything right now. I'm delirious.
Also, fuck, it's on the tip of my tongue. I'm buying time. I would like to announce that we're gonna say something right now.
Oh, that thing?
That
Is
thing.
it about me?
No, shit.
Oh.
I forgot it. I really thought I could retrieve it right now.
Is it? It's an announcement.
21st, no, the 20th, the 21st, the 27th, the 25th. Oh, no, I did want to note this. Okay, the UFC oftentimes gets hammered. Oftentimes. I don't think they get patted on the back enough times. I know this UFC 219 card, a lot of people are railing on it. Oh, man, it's not as deep as other ones. What the fuck? And you have a point. Vegas cards are usually expensive, man. That ringside ticket can usually cost $1,500, $1,200, $1,000, $800. Cyborg and Holmes going for $500, and that's not bad for New Year's Eve weekend. So if you've ever wanted to go to Vegas and take in a show, but you know those prices have basically turned you off because if you're not going to go by yourself, so right away if something's $1,000 and you're going with your girl or your buddy or your parents or someone, you're in for $2,000. Again, this is $500. That's not bad. $500 is really not bad. So they came down in their price. Check it out. Some great fights on that fight card, and also tickets go on sale for UFC 220 with Stipe and Ngannou, and Daniel Cormier versus Volkan Ozdemir. So there you go. That's what I really wanted to say, and now we're chilling. How about Ron Frazier's in the house? What's up, Ron? How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing, gentlemen?
Good, man. Hey, I don't know how much time you have. Hopefully you can chill for a second.
Yeah, I can chill.
Yeah. So this is Ron Frazier, who's been in the sport for a long time. He's played pro ball. He's boxed. Now he's in the MMA world. But the reason Ron's here is because his lovely daughter Samara.
Samara Jade. Get it right.
Samara Jade. I apologize.
Well, that's her middle name. Jade is her middle name.
But that's how you always say it. So
That's
I always
yeah.
Plus,
well,
it's, I don't remember very many names, and that's one name that I always remember. So I like to bump my chest.
I like that. That's good.
So, Ron and I are friends on Facebook, and I saw that his daughter didn't want to. She didn't just want a phone. I mean, she wanted it, and you were making her earn it.
Well, yeah, she wanted an iPhone 10.
Yeah.
And I said, "You're 8. I'm not buying you a $1,000 phone." And she says, "Well, how about if I make cupcakes and I earn the money? Can I buy it?" And I'm like, "Yes." And over the last probably year or so, she's been making cupcakes for friends and for coworkers, and they would leave her tips. And over the summer, she made probably around $400 or $500. So they're like, well, like, okay, if you can earn it, and she start working for it. And
my hat's off, man. That's awesome that you guys came to that agreement, because you could have put your foot down and she could have said, well, and stormed off into her room. Instead, she embraced it.
Yeah.
And I see the pictures there. She's actually working it, and that's refreshing, because man, the kids nowadays are a little bit spoiled at times. And sometimes when they're met head first with somebody taking a stance like that, they just storm off and pout. And instead, she did the work.
Yeah, no, she doesn't mind doing the work. She wants to keep her overhead real low, which means I have to buy more stuff than I want. We've been in negotiations about her overhead, but other than that, you know what? She doesn't mind working hard, and I like that. So right now, she's doing real well raising herself. I mean, she's in the 3rd grade. She reads on the 6th grade level.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And,
Cool,
you know,
man.
she's
Better than us.
Yeah, she's a little entrepreneur. Her financial portfolio, her savings account, her mutual fund, her college fund looks way better than mine. So right now, I'm just trying not to screw it up.
Very cool. No, that's awesome. So I think the order was put in for chocolate, and that's what I see, right?
Yep. And she left you a little note on top.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much. Oh man, can I read it?
Yep.
It says, let me see. Thank you. I should have brought my
Read it
glasses.
out loud.
Well,
Thank you for buying my cupcakes. Please let me know if you want some more or more flavors sometime again. Love, Samara. Chocolate cupcakes. Look at that. A little picture. Very cool.
That is cool.
For-
How old is
yeah.
she?
She is 8.5.
Damn, you know what I told him? And time flies by. I thought maybe she's 6 around there. And I thought I was even going a little high. She's 8.5.
Yes.
Wow.
All right. So here's this should cover that and the delivery and
thank you, sir.
a Christmas tip or whatever.
Thank you, sir.
That's so cool to see a kid do that.
Yeah,
man,
you know, she's an amazing little kid, and you know, she likes to fight now, though. That's my only problem. But she wants to fight daddy. That's the problem. And she's like, if I go, I teach these anti-bullying seminars, and I'll go into schools, and I'll go to her class and teach them. And she goes, "You want to see me hit my daddy?" Bam! I'm like, this is an anti-bullying seminar. You should stop bullying your father.
Hey Ron, that's pretty cool that you do that, man. You know,
Yeah.
that's a theme this week with the thing going on with the young kid Keaton Jones. How long have you been doing that? You do it here in Vegas?
I do it here in Vegas. I've been doing it for about 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
You
That's
know?
awesome.
Yeah, it's a problem, and I actually a guy Kibo Robinson, you know Kibo.
Yeah.
He started it when we were over at the House of Rue, and he does his as well. And I was like, you know what, that's just a great idea. It's to empower kids, to let them know, one, they're not alone, and two, to stand up for themselves. And then, you know, we teach them a few, you know, every now and again, you have to punch somebody in the face. And we teach them how to do it. And like my daughter, she knows she can never start any fights, but I don't mind her ending them.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, for her 4th birthday, I remember she was at Chuck E. Cheese. She did punch a kid.
Uh-oh.
Oh, it was legit. He was pushing all the girls down the slide before they wanted to go, and she told him to stop. He did not stop, and he persisted to call her stupid, so she cracked him.
Damn.
And
What punch?
it was a straight right. And he went crying to his mother, who was busy on her phone texting, not paying attention to her son. And, like, literally a half hour later, she came over and said, your daughter hit my son. I'm like, yeah, I know. I saw the whole thing. If you wouldn't have been on your phone, you may have been able to control him. She controlled him. I am not mad at her for that. If she would have punched him unprovoked, she'd have been in trouble. But
What'd the mom say?
she just kind of stormed off, and then one of my fighters at the time leaned over and said, she doesn't understand what you do for a living, does she? Like, no, and it's probably a good thing it wasn't the dad.
Yeah, really.
This is crazy, guys.
0-2 that day then, huh?
Yeah.
It's crazy. For those who don't know, I had the privilege of learning under Ron at Extreme Couture, and you know, I saw his daughter when she was just, you know, wee bit tall. Now she's regulating, baking. I mean, what is going on here? That is crazy.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny because a lot of the fighters back then were not parents, and they were absolutely terrified of it. Forrest Griffin, Mike Pyle, all those guys. Mark Conn. They didn't have kids at the time, so they were absolutely terrified of her being in the gym at 2 weeks old, not knowing what to do with her. Now look at them; everybody's all grown up with kids, so it's fun to see.
Yeah. What you up to nowadays, Ron?
Just trying, just mostly taking care of her. I decided, you know, not to be a full-time trainer. I still help out a lot of guys, but I didn't want to be gone a lot.
I miss you on the countdown shows.
Yeah,
I seen you in the gyms.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, especially before Samara was and her mom was in my life, when I was just a single guy running around. I was all over the place. I remember I was just thinking about it this morning. There was like 3 and 4 months at a time where maybe if you counted all the days I was at home, maybe 3 weeks. And I was like, is that what I really want to do? And I was like, unless somebody is making it really worth my while financially to do that. And if you're not a gym, if you don't own the gym and own the team, that's a little harder. I was like, you know what? I'd much rather stay home and hang out with her. Plus, she's just better people than most of the people I hang out with anyway.
There you go. All right. Well, it's great to see you. And thanking her here right now on Facebook. Hopefully she sees it later. But if not, please pass along our thanks.
I will.
Very proud of her for doing this. And, you know, anytime she's having cupcake season again, let us know. I don't know if this is only a Christmas thing,
No,
an Easter thing, a 4th of July thing.
It's about to be a cottage industry here. I think we're on to something here. So, and she loves all the cooking shows. She's like, Dad, I want to go on Chop Junior or Master Chef Junior. I'm like, all right. My dad, the funny thing is, and my dad passed away long before she was born. My dad was a restaurateur. So my mom, her grandma, has taught her little secrets along with her mother on how to bake.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, I can't wait. They look delicious.
Yeah.
Now, remember, that tip goes to her. Don't go parlaying the Steelers to the over or nothing like that.
Oh, man.
I know your team's at the top, and you've been thumping your chest lately.
No, that's her team, too, sort of. Well, she likes the Steelers and the Seahawks. The funny thing is she has a dance competition on Sunday, and it's at the time of the games. Like, off the record, what would you rather do? I mean, because we're paying a lot of money for dance, so you're not missing dance. But if you could, what would you do? Rather watch the game or do your dance competition? She's like, I'd rather watch the game.
That's Daddy's girl right there.
My girl right there.
That's
nice.
Yep.
Okay. I got something to tell you afterwards.
Okay.
I actually showed up this morning and I did something on anti-bullying.
Yeah.
So we got to talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. For sure.
All right. Ron, are the Steelers going to go all the way? New England took that hit, and so now you guys control your own destiny as far as home field advantage throughout the playoffs. What do you think?
I like our chance. I love our offense. I love what we're doing offensively. Defensively, we got work still to do. I mean, obviously losing Ryan Shazier is tough. I mean, you never want to see a guy injured like that. Hopefully that's a rallying cry for the team. I just, my thing with them is, the mental mistakes. And as a coach, you see that as like, don't miss tackles. Keep everything in front of you. Do the little things. If they do the little things, they have a great shot to go to the Super Bowl and win it
Killer
all.
bees are fun to watch. I got to give you that, man.
Oh, Antonio Brown.
And everybody seems to be pretty dinged up, actually, nowadays. I was looking at all the big names. J.J. Watt, that have gone out for the year. Richard Sherman.
Every sport, it's just hard. It's hard being a professional athlete. I think people don't understand what it takes to be at a high level, to be a high level athlete, whether it's MMA, boxing, football, basketball, baseball, hockey, whatever sport it is. It takes a lot of dedication, a lot of time, and you got to be lucky too to be injury free.
Will you be back in MMA? Do you believe your future?
Oh yeah, I'll be back. Definitely. I still, I keep my ear to everything, and I'm out there for people. I talk to guys all the time and give them advice here and there. So definitely.
And what about boxing? I know you dabble there as well.
Yeah, for sure. Same thing. I still talk to guys and give them advice, and they'll call up and say, hey, coach, can you check out this opponent for me and tell me what you think? So I still do those things.
What about modeling? You still doing that?
No, I'm trying to retire from that. I mean, I can't do everything.
It's stressful, right?
Yeah, my daughter got all the looks, man. I'll let her handle the model.
You want to know a record that Ron has that a lot of people don't know? He may not even remember this.
What
he was
is
a little
it?
tipsy that night.
I'm never tipsy. I don't drink.
Well, here's what happened. You remember Pure Nightclub?
Oh, yeah. Me and Leonardo DiCaprio. I got you. I know what you're talking about.
Him and Leonardo DiCaprio are the only two people that have ever been let in wearing work boots.
Yeah, wearing Timbs.
Oh.
And it was Frank Trigg's birthday party. It was his birthday. I had another engagement I was at, and I was wearing Timbs. And I forgot that, you can't go into a lot of these nightclubs because they have some silly policy. They think everybody wear Timbs are gang members. Like, dude, I'm in my 40s. Stop. But anyway, I come up there, and they stop me at the door and say, you can't get in. Like, all right, well, I live way too far to be going home and changing shoes and coming back. So I call Frank, and they're like, yo, they won't let me in with Timbs. So happy birthday, and I will see you tomorrow. He said, hold on a second. Next thing you know, I'm being escorted up. On the way up, about 15 security personnel like, you can't wear those in here. And they're like, obviously I can, because they're escorting me to the owner who said I can come up in here. How about that?
There you go.
Yeah, he didn't even flinch, too. He goes, this is for Frank Trigg? He goes, bring him inside. And he just brought him in like that.
So,
but then he pulled us aside, and he goes, only one other guy's ever been let in.
Leo doesn't strike me as a
The funny thing is, he turned Shaq, Donovan McNabb, and other guys that were out of dress code away.
Oh, I wish I could have seen him turn away Shaq. That
he did.
That would have been a great scene.
Do you remember?
Well, he didn't do it. I was going to say he had other people do it.
That whole week, Frank celebrated his birthday, but he always talked about how I don't like birthdays.
Doesn't celebrate.
They're no big deal. Do you remember at one point they turned on the lights in the whole nightclub and he's holding 2 sparklers. He's got a giant cake.
And they brought him one of those cakes that cost like $1,500.
The guy that doesn't celebrate his birthday.
Well, he's always celebrating the wrong number. Frank is like, he's like a Dominican baseball player. Check the birth certificate because it's always 5 years older than what they say.
How about that night in Hawaii when it was just me and you and Trig and versus Jason Miller?
Yeah.
And the whole arena wanted Jason Miller because, Trig was always a heel.
Yes.
But Miller had just been embraced by Hawaii.
Right.
And I think Trig was like a plus 300 underdog, and they thought he was going to get choked out. What an amazing night that was.
And I told him that going into that night because he had lost, I think, 2 or 3 in a row via rear naked choke. Mm-hmm. Like, whatever you do, even if you get disqualified, do not get choked out. And Jason had him in a rear naked, and he got out of it. And that's they had pride rules, so you could soccer kick, and he got Jason in a position where he could soccer kick him, and it sounded like an aluminum bat hitting a tree, and it was like, stop the fight. We're yelling, stop the fight. The end of the first round comes, and Frank is kind of hyperventilating because they haven't stopped the fight. Like, he is doing some serious damage. And like, well, let's take a couple big, deep breaths, and let's go out and do it again. Until the referee stop it, this is what you do. And
because he had built himself up to be an 85er, so he was carrying more muscle. But
well, no, he was fat.
The whole world,
he was fat. Let's not get that twisted.
The whole world was against him, and
no, that camp. He comes in because he comes out of retirement.
He's driving the bus today.
He comes out of retirement and he says, "Yeah, I'm going to fight again." That's like at 170. He's like, "No, at 185." I'm like, "All right, how much you weigh right now?" He like, "Well, I'm like, no, don't stutter. How much you weigh right now?" And so he wouldn't tell me. I'm like, "All right." So in the gym, we start separating all the guys, and it was the lighter weight guys matching up, and the heavier weight guy. Like, you with the heavyweights right now? I'm like, why? Because I know you weigh about 220 right now. He's like, "Yeah, I do."
He had put on some muscle, though.
He did put on some muscle. He did.
But still, an awesome memory just because, every time I watch like an NFL team where it's just those 52 and the coaches against the whole stadium, that's the closest I'll ever be.
And it's fun, man.
All of the Hawaiians wanted Miller. And
what about the Lakers?
Huh?
What about the Lakers? That was pretty big, too.
The Lakers was pretty big as well.
Do you remember when Derek Fisher hit that shot with
Yes.
We went to that game.
Nice.
Yeah, we were at that game.
Nice. Yeah. Ooh.
But we weren't like, I actually got to be in this corner.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was something different because it's like they just wanted to basically, raise them, crucify them, and spit at them. I mean, they just wanted it to be Miller's night. Miller came out with a Kentucky Fried Chicken bucket, right? And he had sparklers outside of it, and then he had these dragons. It was like his entrance was a big deal back in the day. I remember Ron goes, "We need some ice." So I had the bucket, and I went to go find us some ice. So while I was back there by the concessions, I heard some music go on or something like that, and I just remember some kids go, "Mayhem!" And they all got out of line and ran because they wanted to see the entrance aside from the fight itself. So it was a big deal, man. The next day, my Trojans lost to the Bruins.
I remember that.
I could care less.
Yeah.
I mean, I was bummed, but I'm usually like pissed for a week. But I was on such a high over Trig's win that I just like, well, UCLA got us that year, and that was that. But anyway,
you sure you probably couldn't just maybe just didn't believe it because it never happens, or like it's probably true.
It rarely happens. So yeah. Thanks for stopping by, and thank you so much for these cupcakes. Seriously,
you're very welcome.
Tell your daughter thank you very much.
I will. Thanks for having me.
And stay in touch, Ron. If you ever do those anti-bullying and you're allowed to bring somebody just to observe, I'd love to see that.
For sure.
Because I think that's something that needs to be done in every city, not just with Keaton Jones, not just in Las Vegas, but this is an epidemic, in every city in the United States. And if anybody that comes from martial arts background or is involved in our sport could maybe, get hit to some schools throughout the year, I think it'd be huge.
Yeah,
huge
definitely.
Success.
And you try to go a little bit further. You're trying not only get to the kids, but trying to get to the parents of the kids, because that's the big problem. A lot of this is learned behavior stuff they're seeing at home, seeing that what their parents do or older siblings do. And, they have to understand that it's wrong, and they have to understand you never know who you're messing with. If you mess with my child, you are going to have problems. And I don't see, and I always said this because I always knew I was going to have a girl, I don't mind going to jail. So if you get out of line with my child, I will do damage. Point blank. It's very simple. So I try to give people solutions so we don't ever have to get to that point.
There you go. All right, my man. We are going to take a break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. When we come back, we'll be talking to Colby Covington. Thanks again, Ron, for stopping by. And folks, stay close. We'll be right back.
get him to snap out, but they showed him the video. They said it was only
They pat down TSA agents because they don't know where those people have been, and because they can. They are Gorgeous George and Goes, and this is MMA Junkie Radio.
The fantasy football playoffs are here. Listen to SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio and dominate your competition with expert analysis, player projections, and injury information. Go home a champion or just go home. The fantasy football playoffs on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, Sirius 210, XM87, and on Twitter at SiriusXM Fantasy. All right, our next guest. He's a character, man. He is out there in terms of pissing people off, making people laugh. He is bona fide entertainment one way or another, whether he's whooping ass inside the octagon or just having a go at somebody on Twitter. I'm talking about Colby Covington, and you can follow him on Twitter at Colby Cov MMA. He is 8-1 in the UFC as a welterweight, and he's only had the one loss in his whole career. He's coming off a win over Damian Maia down in Brazil, and in 2018 he's looking to lock up with the champion Tyron Woodley. Let's see what he's up to right now. We haven't caught up with him in a while. What's up, Colby? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having the welterweight king back on the show.
So you're heading home to Oregon. This is just kind of like for the holidays, just tapering down and hanging out?
Yeah, I'm just going to go back home, relax back in Oregon since Taekwondo ducked me at UFC 219 December 30th. I was ready to fight December 30th, but, Tyrone was scared. So it's okay. I'll go enjoy the holidays with my family, get some good rest in, and then, come back to the first quarter of 2018 and take the belt. It's mine.
We had him on the show about 2 weeks ago. We kind of covered a lot of topics, and basically what he said was a guy like Nate Diaz, that's a stand-up guy, he felt like he could get by with not having to have shoulder surgery, and at the same time, he knew it'd be a big payday. He did kind of, I guess, indirectly respect the rest of the welterweights and said, "Hey, I need to be 100% Tyron Woodley if I'm going to mix it up with the other 170s." So I think that was his reasoning for maybe not considering you for 219, but he did consider Nate Diaz.
Yeah, what about TSP too? He considered TSP too, so. He's making a lot of different stories up. He's saying one thing to you guys, one thing to someone else. He can't even get his story straight. So, I'm the next contender in line. He needs to come out of hiding and come fight me and stop acting scared.
What do you think happens this weekend? Now, Dana White has said the winner of Lawler and RDA could get a shot at Tyron Woodley. We know that in the past, Dana has said something and he's done something entirely different. Sometimes he says something and he actually goes through with it. What's your feeling? Do you think whoever wins, if it's not a good fight, that catapults you into that spot, or do you think that either way they're gonna maybe go with the winner of that fight, and thereby you might have to take another matchup or wait that matchup out?
No, I think I'm ahead of those guys right now. I'm the number one contender. I'm the new fresh face. I'm the young bloodness. I'm the those guys are old. They've had their opportunities. They're past their time. I do feel like I'm ahead of them, and I don't think it's going to be a great fight. I think it's going to be a boring fight. It's going to be a slow fight. It's going to be a drag-out fight. So, I do feel like I'm going to stay ahead of those guys, and, I will get my shot early next year.
I do feel like credential-wise, you are ahead of them. I will give you that, Colby. In fact, we asked Tyron another question. We said, listen, the same way Chael kind of ruffled Anderson's feathers and McGregor ruffled Aldo's feathers, so either way, they grew to dislike their opponent, but in the end, they both made a lot of money together, and Tyron at times strikes me as a guy that wants to make some money while also defending his belt. And I thought you had done all the heavy lifting. Like, this is a matchup that should happen. He still wasn't feeling it. Are you as confused in that regard when it comes to, if we're just talking dollars and cents, why he wouldn't want to take you versus the other guys? They're so quiet. Would there be much of a build-up with the other guys?
Yeah, I think he's making a big mistake, and he's making himself to look as dumb as he really is. Look at the story there. We both trained at ATT. We trained together. He can't hide from that. We trained for many years. This isn't just one sparring practice where I beat the shit out of him. I'm not lying. What I said in my interviews, I said I broke him in the gym. That's exactly what happened. Inside 3 rounds, he quit. He didn't want to go any more rounds. We were supposed to go 5 rounds. So that's not the only day it happened. We trained for many years, and I always got the better of him. So deep down inside his heart, he knows that, and that's why he's trying to delay this. He wants to hold out as long as he can because he knows if he has the belt, he can get a money fight. If he doesn't have the belt, he's not getting no money fight. If he fights me, he's not going to have the belt.
Now, here's another thing that we discussed as well. Well, actually, this is something that I guess changed here with 2 nights ago. They had UFC Tonight. He is going to have a shoulder surgery, and he says it's more of a cleanup. It doesn't seem to be as extensive like the kind like Cain Velasquez, where he's had a complete labrum tear, and he's out for a year. So it sounds like maybe 6 months he could be back. But that kind of fits in line for all these undefeated featherweight, lightweight, and welterweights that were out here in Las Vegas recently trying out for TUF. Maybe Tyron could do a TUF coaching stint. If he's not going to fight for 6 months, would that interest you, to Colby, to be a coach and then wait another 6 months to fight Tyron Woodley?
Yeah, that would definitely interest me. That's the top of the thing. I think that would be good build-up, and everybody knows Tyrone wants to be on Fox and just expand his brand, so I'm sure this should draw him out, to perfect time where he can film this show, be a coach, and then fight me at the end for the welterweight title. But, I'm already in his head, deep in his head, and I think he's thinking in his head, if we get on an 8-week show, I'm going to be even deeper in his head, and he's not even going to have a chance to beat me in the fight. So, I don't know if he's going to want to take that risk. So the ball's in his court. I've accepted the coaching position. We'll see if he does the same.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you've already been extended that offer.
Yeah, I've been extended that offer, and I've accepted it. I've taken it.
Damn. That would be a crazy season. These two would be going at it. Yeah. A lot of John. And then all those undefeated prospects. I can imagine the coaching staffs. There might be some drama there as well. That'd be good ratings. Hopefully Tyron accepts it, especially because he's kind of going to be on the shelf. I think both guys would be good coaches. They come from wrestling backgrounds. They could turn some of these young kids into monsters. Have you, I guess, assembled a coaching staff yet? Just maybe a quick one off the top of your head. Maybe not the final cut, but.
Absolutely, man. I already got pretty much who I'm going to have. I'm going to, of course, have featherweight sensation, one of the best to ever do it, Mike Brown.
Oof, good one.
He's one of my head coaches. I bring him in. I bring in some fun, I keep the show entertaining. I bring in another Oregon gangster, by my side, Carol P. Sonnen. And then,
I love it.
I gotta have my crew out there, probably bring in Jorge Masvidal, bring in our coach Paulino Hernandez, and, that's what we're doing. We're making this division great again. We're making this UFC great again. So they put us on TV, man. I guarantee it's nonstop entertainment the whole time and a lot of drama.
Colby Covington, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. Also, if you give him a follow on Twitter, make sure you're not a Star Wars fan, because he's giving reviews out, and they're very specific, so you may want to stay away. But let me turn it over to Goes and Dan. What do you guys have for Chaos?
Colby, so we hear all your ideas of where you think things should be, who you think you should fight, but what happens when you speak to the brass directly? Like, what kind of answers do they give you? Do they feel a lot of what you're saying?
Listen, I spoiled Star Wars last night for all the nerds. Here's another spoiler for you. Colby Covington, welterweight champion, early 2018.
I like it. I'll just move on to my next question. Have you, at any point, have you ran into Tyron Woodley, or even been, like, what's the closest you've been to him? And what, if you haven't, what do you anticipate that being like? Is that something where you just want to do the talking in the ring, or would you sit there and hammer it out with him? Like, how would that even work out? Have you played it out in your head?
Oh, yeah, dude. I already know him deep down in his skin goes, so there's not really much I have to say. I'd probably just stand next to him and be like, Tyrone, and just completely play with him, because, his emotions are all whack. He's making up all these lies out there. He can't even get his story straight. It's hilarious. He'll say one thing about me and then get his story completely backwards on it, and then act like he doesn't know me, and then this and that, so, honestly, I'm already into Tyron's skin and in his head. Imagine what I'm going to do when I'm in close proximity. I'm not going to touch him. He's entirely free speech. Say whatever you want to do. I'm not going to touch you until we get in that cage. But I'm going to break you mentally before we get in that cage, and that's what's happening with Tyron Woodley.
Colby, I love the idea of that tough talk, man, and having you guys as opposite teams. And when you're talking about your team, I couldn't help but think about the NWO. I mean, Goes over here already compares your buddy Jorge Masvidal to Razor Ramon, and I see you've got your pro wrestling gigs you've been doing on the side too as well. So I guess tying that all in, is there anything that you found delving into that world that's kind of helped you, whether it's behind the scenes, inside or out of the cage with MMA?
Yeah, definitely. The pro wrestling was all about patience and timing, and that's exactly how everything came together for what's going on and what I'm accomplishing right now. I told everybody I was going to do it from the beginning. What was going to happen. I was going to take the whole game over, and that's exactly what's happening right now. And there is a strategy to it. There is a patience, and and that's exactly what's happening right now. And I'm thankful for the people that I've crossed paths with to be able to help me put me on this path so I can be in the position I'm in right now.
All right, and just a quick two-part hypothetical for you before I let you go, Colby. Speaking of the spoilers, if the UFC brass said, Colby, we're going to give you your title shot to Tyron Woodley, we're going to give you the tough gig and everything, but you got to watch all the Star Wars movies and pass a test at the end of it. A, would you pass that test in the Star Wars movies to get the title shot? And B, what movie would you pass? Well, what is your type of movie that you could ace without even looking?
Definitely I wouldn't pass on the Star Wars test, but I'd study really hard for that. You guys see how hard I'm working in my career, making all my social media happen, the man's everything. I'm a hard worker, man. I'm putting all this together, doing this on my own, self-promotion, man. So, I work hard to pass that test. And then the second test, B, it'd probably have to do something about Jim Carrey. I know all his funny movies, Dumb and Dumber.
Nice.
Any movie like that, I'll tell you every step.
That's what's up.
Colby, how many nerds and virgins were pissed off when they read your Twitter line last night?
I mean, why don't you go look at the comment section? There's a couple hundred that are pissed off, want me dead, want my head, want ISIS to come burn my family. So, a lot of virgins and nerds mad out there right now. It's pretty tight.
And then another thing I noticed is you and Kenny Florian were boxing too. So like you are not you're not trying to go for Mr. Popularity within the UFC and Fox. I can tell.
Well, yeah, Mr. Plagiarist himself. He's out here plagiarizing work, should have been shit canned by Fox. But he's trying to degrade me and make me look like an idiot. And really, he's just looking like an idiot. He's the guy looking impartial on Fox, but he's not supposed to be impartial. So. That guy's a clown. I just exposed him for what he is.
Did you see your boy Fabricio got a fine of $600 out in Australia? I guess he didn't show, but they gave him the fine, and that's about that.
Yeah, I seen that. I took it easy on him. I let Fabricio Wickham only get a $600 charge because I wasn't going to pursue the charges. I wasn't going to try and make this a big ordeal. Whatever, man. I dropped it. I let him have to say that. He should thank me. But who I'm not going to let thank me and not let go?
Who's that?
Tyron Woodley. I'm not going to take it easy on Tyron Woodley. I took it easy on Fabricio Werdum. I'm not taking it easy on Tyron Woodley.
I'll tell you what. I'd love to see you guys on Tough. It's nothing against Lawler or RDA, but Lawler's very, very quiet. I've always respected him as a mixed martial artist, but I don't know that it would be the most entertaining. Tough stint or tough coach, I guess. And this last time we had two respectful people going, as coaches, Gagey and Alvarez. I mean, and you saw in the end they had themselves a great fight, so they didn't have to have the drama. But still, I don't know if they're going to do that back to back. And RDA does speak English, but not great English, and I just don't know that the UFC is going to rally behind him. I would love to see Woodley and Covington for 10 weeks, 12 weeks on Fox. And then all of a sudden have them dance in the summer. I think that'd be a nice lead up. So hopefully Woodley's into it.
Yeah, man. Hopefully I'm going to have to cross my fingers.
What about, who do you got? Since we'll just stick with one more because I know you got to hop on a plane soon. There's another big fight in your weight class. Mike Perry versus Santiago Ponzinibbio. Who you got in that one?
Never even heard of those guys in my life.
All right, we'll have to skip that one then. Hey, listen, have a good holiday season. Safe trip, safe travels to Oregon, and hopefully we can talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Happy holidays, you filthy animals.
All right, we'll see you later.
Thanks, Colby.
All right, that's Colby Covington, folks. Follow him on Twitter at Colby Cov MMA. I think we have one more break to take, right, Danny?
We do.
Let's do that then. Let's do that, and that way we can process this. But how about that? That's a nugget there. I hadn't heard it. I mean, unless this has been news for the last 24 hours. I mean, I hadn't heard that one half of the equation may have been solved here. We may already have our tough coaches for next season.
That's crazy, and I haven't heard anything either.
Yeah.
I saw something last night.
Did you?
And I thought it was a dream.
Oh, wow. All right. Folks, this is MMA Junkie Radio. It's Friday, December 15th. Still got more than an hour to go, so hang in there with us. Just hung up the phone with Colby Covington. We'd love to hear your reaction to that or anything else that's going on. 866-522-2846. Also, your last chance to come in and give us your predictions for Robbie Lawler versus Rafael dos Anjos, which takes place this weekend. We'll be right back.
Yeah, you. Can you please tap that rather large fellow on the shoulder and tell him it's time for more MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes? Thank you.
Your favorite holiday music channels are back on SiriusXM. Check out contemporary holiday favorites on Hale, Channel 70, and holiday traditions on Channel 4. You can get a complete holiday lineup at SiriusXM.com/holiday. All right, folks, let's talk to one of my favorite callers in the world. He's actually on the complete opposite side of the world. His name is Ben from New Zealand. Let's check in with him. What's up, Ben? How you been?
I've been good, GG, all things considered, and one of those things being, of course, that the mighty Peru is going to the World Cup in Russia next year instead of New Zealand, but I can't be too mad about it because they were the deserving winners. They played the better football, and my very first World Cup was 1982, when New Zealand first made it for the first time, and Peru were there too, so I've always had a soft spot for those boys that wear that red band across their chest.
I like that red band. I mean, obviously, I know I'm a little bit of a homer, but I always thought that was one of the cool uniforms.
Me too. Yeah, it stands out. Soccer kits are like, I don't think you can go wrong if you're just wearing a pair of jeans and a soccer kit from anyone in the world. Doesn't even have to be your team, but
What if you're wearing Sport Boys?
Sport Boys is awesome. The
You
pink
get a
ones.
giant pink one.
Sport
Yeah, no, the pink
Boys.
ones. Tommy Smith, who covers ESPN, he's an older guy, but he's been covering soccer for ESPN for a long time. He's from Ireland, and one day they just asked him, "What are your top 10 jerseys? You know, the top kits in all the world?" And I sat there and listened, and he liked Inter Milan. You know, they have the alternating blue and black. I think Celtic he liked, and a few others. And then number one was Sport Boys in Peru, and they wear pink with a black collar, I think, if I'm not mistaken. You know, they switch it up, but primarily it's pink. And he says, I have just always loved it. But anyway, yeah, Ben, you know what? Over 2 legs, you know, we were slightly better. It's just really tough when you play at home and you don't get at least that 1 goal advantage, and then you travel. There's a lot of pressure, you know. Granted, when it was 1-0, we still weren't out of the woods, because if you guys would have tied it, you guys would have went because of the away goal rule. So we were definitely on the edge of our seats until we got that second goal, and then at that point we were able to breathe a little bit easier. But it was a nice back and forth.
Yeah, like I said, Peru deserved it in the end, and that's all you can really ask for with football. Sometimes with football you can get the better team doesn't necessarily win, but they were the better team, so I can't be too mad about it. There's two things that I wanted to sort of bring up today, and they're sort of I guess analytical questions. One of them goes back to Jose Aldo, who was of course fought a couple of weeks ago, and something we used to see a lot more with him, and I guess what we might call his prime, was that he had he's known for his defensive wrestling. You know, he's one of the best defensive wrestlers around, but he used to, when he would fight a striker, he would often take them down. We saw it against Korean Zombie, we saw it against Hominick, and he has a super good takedown percentage these days, now that he's getting older, into his 30s. I don't know. The other thing I wanted to bring up was Gigi a few weeks ago, well, not a few weeks ago, last week, you were talking about...
I think I attribute it to one point he made, and that's the gas tank. Aldo, does he train as hard as he used to? Is he older? Like, what's happened where it's like end of first, mid-second, like we see a gas tank going down? Not just us, not just other media, but the announcers themselves. I don't remember that in the past. I remember Aldo could go a strong 5 rounds. Sure, tiring. Who doesn't tire after 25 minutes of fighting? But it was never like what I've seen in the last probably 18 months or so. So we, you know, I think one topic we've discussed amongst all of us on and off the air is fighters that reach a certain point, if they know they're either not going to make it back, it's now just about collecting paychecks. You know, they know the UFC could use them as superstars and their star power and to sell tickets, and they'll show up and they'll collect a check, and that's it. But in the meantime, are they really going out there and giving you the best camp? You know, I don't know. It's hard to say, because without knowing, we're stripping down Aldo and calling him something that he may not be. I'll let you guys chime in when we come back after the break. That was a great call, Ben. You gave us some talking points there. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
I missed the very last bit that you said.
Stop listening. They can't jam with the song. I don't
You
care
guys
what
like
they
the
say,
song?
otherwise they're monkeys.
Well, there's no whistling part right now. You like the song, Dan? Am I ruining it for you?
I dig it. You're not ruining it.
The whistling?
No.
I mean, it's real subtle. I'm complimenting the actual percussion and all the, you know, all the stuff in the back. Mark, you feeling my whistling? Yeah, see? Fuck everybody.
You ever had a booger whistle?
I like whistling.
I have. And you know what? I have a white hair in my nose, and I'm surprised you guys haven't noticed it.
I only notice it when it grows out. But even then, like, what do I care? It's your nose.
Can you whistle while you talk like Herbert from Family Guy? That's the trick.
If you have dentures,
You know who does? You know who can do that? Bjorn Rebney. He had a little whistle to certain little words he said. I think it had to do with the letter S. Like if he said,
yeah, he does, yeah.
Cyan like that. Matthew McConaughey, I think, does the same thing.
Hi, man.
You know Tommy?
I can whistle while, what do you call it when you breathe in? Breathing in.
Inhale.
Inhaling. I can whistle while I inhale. I can also burp at least 60 times in 1 minute. They won't be like booger and ogre burps, but I can do little burps, and I can do at least 60 in 1 minute.
That'll make you throw up.
It's not gross. It's just quick.
No,
ones.
like just doing it.
Oh yeah.
I think you kind of pull on the same muscles to throw up.
Yeah.
So I would eventually throw up. My buddy Tommy, one time, I've never seen this happen before, but he went to tell me something in the hallway of the Adams house, and as he was talking, he whistled at the same time. And it was so weird because even he noticed it, and he was like still.
It have to be like a W sound, like. Who?
No, it was just
who
like
came over?
It was like a long pitched whistle in the background of
Who
his
was
mouth.
that?
And he was
Who
even
was
looking
that?
like, can you tell what's going on here? We were both like, what the fuck's going on? And it whistled for a good like 15 seconds while he was talking.
No, come on now.
George, I swear to God.
How does that happen?
I don't know. He's never been able to
He
duplicate.
wasn't standing on one of Max's toys or something, a whistling toy.
No.
15 seconds?
About 15 seconds, it just kept coming out, and he stopped. He didn't want to stop talking, but he was like,
when
you're
you started
this,
to tell
right?
me this, I thought, damn, next time Tommy's in town, I got to ask him about this.
Ask him.
But when you said 15 seconds, I'm like, oh, these two must have been like on LSD or something like that.
Ask him.
All right.
It was in junior high. It would have been the most gangster junior high kids of all time if we were doing that.
Hey, by the way, before we take Brian from Boston, if he was Brian from anywhere else, he'd get on right away. But I still hate the Celtics enough that Brian from Boston has to wait like an extra minute or two, and then we'll bring him on, even though I like Brian from Boston. Real quick, who are you guys leaning towards on Fighter of the Year?
That's a hard one this year.
I think I got mine.
I would probably just vote for narrative, not strength, because it's not a strength of resume like we had all the arguments last year. So I would just go for Rose because it kind of stands for everything against the stuff that I've been complaining about this year.
That's not a bad one.
And then also, did we still have to answer part of Ben's call before we?
Oh, yeah. Let's answer Ben's call, and then we'll take Brian from Boston.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Aldo and his gas tank and wrestling that he used before that he didn't use as much.
Hard to say. Because, I wouldn't say his wrestling's top notch, but remember when you're anticipating some of the most lethal strikes on the planet, you kind of let your guard down as far as takedowns, right? You're just not expecting them. So I think that's why he was pretty successful in some of them. But to the cardio thing, like, you got to remember, he took a lot of shots. And these shots just aren't, you don't take them and go, ow, and that's the end of them. Like, they take away some of your wins sometimes, you know, especially the guy like Max Holloway that throws to the body like that. The damage from these shots also affect your cardio, your breathing patterns, stuff like that. So I think some of it's attributed to that, too. And some of the times where he has gone 5 rounds, he didn't take that type of damage.
I just want to say that was a good call, Ben. But yeah, this is something that I actually think about a lot. Now, in Aldo in particular, yeah, I would say what George and Go said as far as cardio, that is a criticism of his. In fact, you know, the example they were using earlier about the Korean Zombie fight, that's good that you mentioned that, because he did go for a lot of takedowns, and that was the last one he went for a lot of takedowns. But that's also one of the fights where how I often cite the corner for leg kicks, takedowns, and overall energy output, how that's an issue. And that's not just, you know, us criticizing Aldo. I mean, his own corners are stressing for him, hey, don't throw those so much. Save those for later. Save the leg kicks for later. Save the takedowns for later. Well, in that Korean Zombie fight, his corner, if you go back and watch, they were actually stressing him. They were saying he was wrestling too much, and they didn't want him to get tired, using that for the exact words. But as far as when they get older, this is interesting because, now, I don't want to say the coach's name or the fighter that we had a conversation with after the show the other day, guys, but we had a notable coach of a notable fighter, another legendary fighter, we'll just leave it at that. And, you know, older, and he made a comment about, you know, his wrestling in reference to him getting older. And we didn't unpack it or ask for the details, but it makes me think, you know, when these guys get older, back issues, knee issues are the main things we see in our sport, no matter if you're a jiu-jitsu guy, a Muay Thai guy. Those are the common culprits, right? Your knees and your back. Anybody who's had those problems, George is dealing with a knee right now, you know how debilitating, and even mentally, when you come back, is it 100%, you know, or you know, if I change my level, will I have back issues again, you know, this or that? Stipe, he had to pull out some matches from back issues, right? A couple when he was booked up with Rothwell. Maybe it's the matchups that are indicative, like Goz was talking about, but we haven't really seen Stipe do a lot of takedowns since then, right? You know, for Doom, remember he was the first person to take down Travis Brown, or Travis Brown at one point, 100% takedown defense. No one could take him down, right? And that first 5-round fight he had with Fabricio Verdum took him down, right? And that, but we haven't seen, you know, Fabricio. I'm not trying to throw accusations or throw guys under the bus there, but I'm just pointing out, when guys get older, we see a lot less wrestling. So a lot of me wonders, maybe it is just age. So that's a good question, a good topic.
It is. You know, I guess I was kind of insinuating that a little bit with what I was talking about Aldo before we left. They're so great at some point. They just need to make it through the camp and show up and cash that check and hope that their experience and whatever training they have is enough to overcome the young guy who's probably gone above and beyond what they've done in the gym. Now, that said, there's certain guys that just stand the test of time. Like Frankie Edgar just doesn't seem to ever tire, you know. And he's, pushing 36, I believe. Who knows if he'll just hit a wall or if there'll be a slow decline or what. You know, I still can't believe that at 40, 41, Yoel Romero is still what he is. You know what I mean? Like, he'll still get up there. I mean, literally, his knee will be as high as your head. You don't really have to duck down much. As long as your head's somewhere in that area, there's a good chance he can knee you. Yeah. You know, and this is a wrestler. He doesn't wrestle much, and when he does, it's not like you go, oh, well, there's that Olympic-style wrestling. It's not like this explosive double leg or anything. It's just they have the skills, but they don't have the muscle memory from when they were competing like that. For the longest time, people used to go, okay, we got Josh Koscheck versus so-and-so. I give the striking to this guy, the jiu-jitsu to this guy. Koscheck, oh, well, he was a Division I champion. Yeah. But that was 2001. Yeah. You know, like, how often was he actually wrestling at AKA and then his other gym? that he created in Fresno. I forget the name of it. How often was he really doing this? Was he doing it as often as Maya has been the last 3 years? Probably not. You know what I mean? But regardless, as far as Aldo, is he done? You know, just a year ago, he dominated Edgar. If Edgar beats Holloway, Aldo has an in, and he's 2-0 against him. He's not done. But a guy like Bisping, for example, even he's said he's done. Because Whitaker, Rockhold, you know, Rockhold wins. Bisping could go, we're 1-1, bitch. You strangled me. I knocked you out. Let's do the trilogy.
Right.
But I guess there's so many other middleweights that are clamoring for that spot. You know, I don't know if Bisping will be as into it, or if he wants to do it, or if there's any more desire to do it. Who knows? So, you know, every champion reacts differently. What was the other thing you asked?
Just commenting on RDA and Conor that period of time.
Well, did you have anything? I guess I was the one that brought up the other day.
I mean, not to go down the Conor side of that equation and retracking his timeline again, but I thought it was relevant to this weekend. Who RDA is fighting a dangerous striker, and it's kind of crazy because even though I picked RDA, I got to be honest, I am surprised to see Robbie Lawler as the underdog right now. Maybe other people.
Is he?
Yeah,
he made it to underdog.
I guess it's not just me or Ben from New Zealand or whoever else that thinks RDA does well against strikers, but apparently the betting lines reflect what Ben was saying too there, which is kind of crazy.
And by the way, well, we're going to take Brian from Boston's call right now, but as I've been trying to scan a little bit, we've never really had a discussion whether we're going to talk about Fighter of the Year, but these big name fighters, I started with just the champions, they're not fighting much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of them, look, I'll do it fast. Demetrius, 2-0 in 2017, but he broke a record.
Both finishes, too.
Both finishes, yeah. So you got to say, okay, he's in the running. TJ Dillashaw, he only fought once. It was a great fight versus Garbrandt, but his last fight was December 30, 2016, so he doesn't qualify. Unless he subs in here in the next few days to fight someone in 219, that's going to be it for him. Can't really consider that when another guy's got 2 wins and he broke a record. Max Holloway went 2-0 in 2017. His last fight before that was Pettis in December 2016. So it's not that he wasn't active, because it's still 3 fights in 1 year per se. It's just that one was at the end of 2016.
Right.
But you know, the 2 fights with Aldo, both being finishes, could some voters think that's more than beating Borg and Hayes, even though a record was broken in the Demetrius fight. Tyron Woodley went 2-0, but the only problem was those fights weren't very exciting, and we had decisions in both of them. Thompson and Maya. Robert Whitaker, he went 2-0. His fights were exciting. Even the Romero one that went to a decision. But a lot of people give him street cred because those are 2 gangsters that he beat there in Jacare Souza and Yoel Romero. The sad thing is he was just awarded the belt. He never actually took it from the undisputed champion, as has been noted by many, including Ben Folks. And that kind of sucks for Robert Whitaker because that is a special moment when you take out the actual champion and the president of the UFC puts the belt around you, and he was deprived of that.
Talk about his path too, jeez, but yeah.
Cormier went 1-0, and with what happened with John Jones, it's really a 1-0-0 and 1 because it's a no contest.
Yeah, right.
If you ask Cormier, like we did when he was here in studio, he thinks it was a loss. You know, he got knocked out. He can't erase that from his memory. But regardless, he was 1-0. He defeated Anthony Johnson. And that's a big skin on your wall, by the way. Miocic 1-0 in 2017. Rose Namajunas 2-0 in 2017. So you've noted that I haven't said 3-0 yet. It's just all been 2-0s. But still, to dethrone Joanna's massive. To beat Michelle Watterson on Big Fox and finish her. Hats off there. So I got to believe she's competing with Jose Aldo. Sorry, with Max Holloway and Demetrius Johnson as far as the 2-0s are going. Maybe even Whitaker if you give street cred to those 2 guys that were taken out, except those weren't one wasn't a finish.
You know whose year I wish I would have, if I were a fighter, I would have liked to have? Yeah.
Me too.
I was looking at his.
What's his?
One of them's a no contest, but I thought all 3 performances
were outstanding.
They were great.
He had a great year, yeah.
That was the guy I was kind of looking at.
I'm trying to think of a name. I saw it on Twitter. I want to say it's a female. Either way, it's not a big player, so to speak, but someone is on a 4-fight, and I don't know if they'll get it by December, but within their calendar year of when it started, has a possibility of hitting a 5-fight. And the only person I think that's done that was, I want to say, I know Neil Magny and Max Holloway both. One of them had four fights in 1 year. One of them had 5.
Michael Johnson, I thought,
24,
almost had a 5-0 or may have had a 5-0. I remember he had a big year as well. I think someone may have shut him down at the end of the year, like on the last.
James Vick had 3 this year.
Did he really? Wow.
Trujillo, Reyes, and Duffy.
Okay.
All 3 finishes.
Yeah.
Nico Montano, check out what she did. So she went through the reality show. Exhibitions or not, those were real fights, you know. And she beat Lauren Murphy, who dropped from 35. That's cred.
Right.
Montana Stewart, I didn't know much about her, honestly. But she beat Barb Honchek, who was universally known as probably the toughest 25er for many years. And then in the finale, she beat Roxanne Modafferi. But if we really dissect her year, she started off in January of 2017 by losing to Julia Avila. So I think that kind of takes her out. And then I got 2 more. Amanda Nunes, she only went 1-0 versus Valentina. She also pulled out of that fight. So any voter that harbors those feelings of, man, you fucked up my Saturday, you know, they're probably not going to put in a vote for her. She just missed that other fight with Rousey. That would be a nice 1-2 punch to have Shevchenko and Rousey in your rearview mirror. But Rousey was December 30th of 2016. And Chris Cyborg, she only had the 1 fight this year. Now she's going to fight at the end of the year. And if it's as destructive as the other ones have been, more power to her. The problem is the 2 ladies she's fought are really just known as 35ers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think we're basically down to, if we're just working off champions, Rose Namajunas, Max Holloway, and Demetrius Johnson. I find it hard to go against Max because I feel like he's the last one we remember, but I feel like he's just popped this year. You know, for whatever reason, there's a lot of people on the Max Holloway train.
Well, if you look at Jose Aldo, he's going to go down as one of the greatest of all time.
Right.
He beat him twice, and not just beat him, finished him
right.
twice. It's hard to do.
Yeah, he got the he got what we were just talking about. Robert Whittaker didn't. He got that moment, you know. And as far as those performances, like Robert Whittaker, where it's an announcement of an arrival of a contender or of a new champion or of a new face, I think UFC 212 in Brazil was definitely that moment for him, you know. So that's a good one. Yeah, but
Rose would for sure have female fighter of the year locked up, but if we put her in the big group of male of all fighters, unless there's a nugget out there like a Poirier or someone else. It's going to be tough to top Max, Demetrius, and Rose. But I think Poirier, if he finishes Eddie Alvarez, who would his 3 wins be again? Miller, Alvarez, and Pettis. That'd be a pretty great year, man. All right, let's talk to Brian in Boston. He's been waiting. What's up, Brian? How you doing?
Hey, boys. I'm just going to jump in on that subject as well. I was kind of leaning towards Max Holloway for 2 reasons. One, you know, we saw him blossom as a fighter, but we also saw him blossom as a persona too. He's more confident in who he is, and he's starting to get the talking business part of the game down too. So I'm kind of Max on that.
And can I be an asshole for a second? Let me be an asshole for just a second.
Well, for a second.
Here's another thing too.
Okay.
Here's another thing. I think a lot of the reason why Holloway's popping still, not just because he fought last, not just because he took down a legend, but there has been, he started off with a hashtag, Jose Aldo, where's Jose Walt, whatever. Some people thought it was corners, some people thought it was whatever. You know, he went into Brazil, did his thing, but I feel like he's kind of a G, like he has great interviews. He's been talking some smack, you know, the kids dabbing. Whereas when Rose won, she was very respectful. And again, there's a percentage out there that say, "Oh yes, that's great. Let's be nice to each other. Move on," you know. And then back to, this is fighting. This is MMA. This is the Ultimate Fighting Championships. And I think again that might be why a lot of people that run and make these types of votes are 18 to 35-year-old males. You know, that just love to talk about scraps, not necessarily about sports competition. And Demetrius Johnson's another one of those guys where he's just a really nice guy. I think Max still has a little bit of that swag that people like to hang on to. Continue, Brian.
Well, here's what he did do the hashtag, where's Jose and all that stuff. And, you know, he calls him out and he hypes the fight. But after the fight, what did he say? He said that Brazil should be building statues of Jose Aldo. So I love the class after the fight. The reason I'm calling it, I want to talk about this weekend's card, and I'm kind of looking at it, and it looks like Fox with this card is trying to appeal to the casual fan and not so much the hardcores. Because if you look at the 8 guys on the main card, 5 of them, I think their knockout ratio is 50%. Beast like Perry and a beast like Lawler. So I think they just want to put this out there to try to grab some casual fans and then drag them into the MMA world as well. Because if you look at the fighters, there's no specialist on there other than Lamas versus Emmett. These are all big dudes. There's no smaller weight classes on this card. So I kind of look at this as like Fox going, "Hey everybody, or UFC trying to get other people's attention to pull them into the MMA fold."
100%. I think that's what Fox has always done, right?
Yeah, I think so. Hey, Brian, let me ask you, who do you got in the main event? Did you give a pick already?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go with Lawler until Father Time catches up with that guy.
Perfect.
His viciousness is on a different level. Now, I've liked the progress that Dos Anjos has made over the last couple of years, but until Lawler's chin goes for good, I mean, you can't count the Tyron Woodley thing because that dude's just a beast. But until Father Time catches up, I have to go with him.
That's a perfectly defensible breakdown. But I guess the reason why I brought that up to kind of cheat and what I might have cheated to off the air was since I got RDA here, what do you guys think of this? I've been wanting to challenge Brian from Boston here, just because I enjoy your calls, Brian, by the way, and I enjoy the accent. But how about a bet? If Lawler wins, I gotta introduce you as Brian from Boston, the greatest caller in the New England area. But if RDA wins, you gotta start off with you know what really grinds my gears for a whole week of calls.
Fair enough. All right, I'll take it.
Only if the guys sign off on it, though. What do you guys think? Does it sound good?
I want to hear him say
it
regardless.
All right, stakes are on for the main event then.
Stakes.
Cool, man.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, guys.
All right, we'll see you. All right. Next up, Muna from San Francisco. What's up, Muna?
I like Muna.
Oh, I like you guys too.
What's up? How you doing?
Good. Just in terms of fighter of the year, it's weird though. Where in the past we've had folks, champions fight, 3 times a year. Even someone like Hunter, where even if he does not defend his belt, he's fighting multiple times a year. So this was really strange. But for my 2 cents, I mean, I know you got the recency bias of Max Holloway, but again, he only fought 1 opponent, which although one of the greatest, I'll give you that. But if there's a fighter you've got their numbers, I don't know if I give you extra credit if you beat them twice in 1 year. But I'd have to say Mighty Mouse just for the fact that he set a record, which is extremely hard. He fought the top guys in his division. Folks can make a stink that he didn't fight TJ Dillashaw, which is someone outside his division. But hey, within his division, he fought the top challengers, and he's got one of the most memorable finishes of a champion. Unless you guys can think of someone who was a champion, defended their belt, and had a more memorable finish than Mighty Mouse, I say just because of the accolades and accomplishments, you got to give it to him.
That's interesting.
Nobody's hating on that.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only other person that had the 2 wins that is a champion didn't do it via title defense, and that's Rose Namajunas. But how about the fact that Rose had to beat Joanna, who was regarded as maybe the top female fighter at bar any weight class, and then she had the win versus Michelle Watterson. But again, she was doing it as a challenger, whereas Demetrius is doing it as a title defense. So Demetrius was, for the most part, trying to get at that time the #1 contender. There's a good spin on either one, on any of those.
And they're all worthy, so it's going to be interesting. It's just very strange this year where in the past years you had, no-brainers where you had at least, 2 or 3 people were like, man, look at, 3 title defenses or, they're breaking pay-per-view records. And, I mean, this was kind of a weird year for UFC overall. Still great fights, but in terms of, marquee matches, title runs, things of that nature. I mean, look at Daniel Cormier, where he didn't defend his belt, but he's still the champion. So we're here, but hey, you guys have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Hey, Muna, before you go, does MMA get talked about a lot at your work amongst your circle? Do people know that you're a big hardcore fan? How does that work out?
No, I'm kind of afraid to find out. So I work in office downtown San Francisco. There's about 12 of us. all engineers, a little bit nerdy. I'm kind of afraid to let them know that I'm into MMA. So I think the only time it was discussed was during the Conor versus Mayweather fight, which was a big fight. So I think I may have heard some folks talking about it, but no, I try to keep it on the down low.
Panda.
All right, thanks, buddy.
All right, later, guys.
Later. All right. How about the fact that Dana White says this is the biggest year ever, and I just named off all these fighters that have fought either once or twice. No one's fought 3 times. How scary is that? That if all these champions can fight 3 times in 2018, how big of a year they may have, especially if Conor's one of the ones that returns. I didn't even use Conor because he's the lightweight champion, but we all knew he only had the 1 fight versus Mayweather, so I didn't really put him up. But what kind of a year would they have if all their champions fought 3 times? And is this a product? Is this a product of we want the fighters to get paid more? All right, well,
money is the big reason.
They did, but now they're fighting less.
Yeah. Now you got time. You got time to enjoy your money, right? You're getting big fat paychecks.
Yeah. So that's just a percentage of you that's like, damn, you wish that wasn't the case, but I think for the most part, as a human, you're like, wow, if the money's there, they deserve it. But I don't know. I hope this is the year where what I like to see is 5 and 2 years. Because I know that someone that fights in January, July, and December, they can't come back and do it again because then they'd be going December, January. So usually January, July, December. The next year you want to see something like April, September, and then the following year, January, July, December. It makes sense. So hopefully a few of these that only fought twice get 3 next year. The ones that fought once for sure get 3 or 2. Maybe that's just that off year. But again, how amazing is that if what Dana White's saying is the truth, that there's just revenue coming from outside of pay-per-view that's so big that this is their biggest year. He said by far. By far. He went so far as to stress by far. Now a lot of us will always point to pay-per-views and say, well, this wasn't your biggest pay-per-view year, but he doesn't really open up the financials, so we just got to believe that other stuff's just
Conor Floyd.
It's happening, How big was that fight?
They just said yesterday it was
4.3 million. Look, I'll do some quick math, and then we got to go to a break. 4.3 million times. Well, how much was the pay-per-view? 89, technically, or 100?
I think it was more. Was it 89?
I think it was.
Yeah. It's right. That one.
All right. So, but it was. Was it 90 for regular and 100 for HD? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Probably.
So let's just go with 100 to be generous. So if I'm not mistaken, isn't that 400? Is that 430 million? Anybody know? We should have kept Moon on the line. Let's see here. 100 times 4.3.
So yeah, it was. 89,
I'd have to do the other way. Sorry.
89.95 for standard and $10 more for high definition. So that's 99.
All right, here we go. Times 100. What is that? 430 million, right? Yeah, pretty simple. 4.3 billion. I don't know why I'm making it tougher than it is. So 430 million. Now we're just gonna say that this is one of those where it was a 70-30 cut, not 60-40, not even 50-50. We'll be generous. So out of 430 million, if you give 70% of that to the UFC and Showtime or whoever, to the fighters, that would be times 0.7, 301 million. That means that the cable company's got 129 million. So now we're working off 300 million. If Conor is rumored to have gotten 100, and the UFC is rumored to have gotten 50, that would have left Floyd with 150. He'd still be the big player. Plus, that's just the pay-per-views. Let's not forget about the gate, which was almost 80 million or 70 million. and sponsorships and whatever other bullshit. What do we tack on to the UFC? Did they just get their $50 million and bow out, or did they have a cut in everything else?
Yeah, I don't.
Did they have a cut of the gate?
I don't know about that, but there has to be.
Floyd has also
more
said he
that
made
came along with
$300
that.
million. So if Floyd made more of this, maybe these guys made more off the gate. You know what I mean? I don't know that Floyd just took home $150 million. He's kept saying something about $300 million. That's the number that stood out to me.
All I know is that if we have to do this much math to figure out a rough estimate of their profits in a statement, and if we have to do this much math to find out who the fighter of the year was, that is kind of scary, right, guys?
This $50 million, Dan, is basically about a 1.5 million pay-per-view for them. So let's just say the UFC had a 1.5 million pay-per-view on their own. That was it. I think the only other big one was Cormier and Jones. But New York got close to $1 million, but it didn't come close to what 2016 was.
Yeah.
2016, I think they got either between 4.5 million or 5 million pay-per-views altogether. That was a massive, and that was just off Conor and Ronda and whatever else. I'm still wondering what else is just making them bank out there.
Hey, but even if those numbers did make sense, would that make us feel any better? It would still be pretty scary, the fact that that's what we're depending on to make our revenue. And I guess that's what I'm comparing to last year, because last year, whether we're talking about where the money was coming from, with all the contracts and the deals and the big cards that happened, to all the stars, we could see them. We could see the stories, we could see the stars, and we could see the money. And this year, and let's just call it, hey, I don't want to be, we'll be optimists. We'll just call this a rebuilding year. This is what they call it in sports, right?
Can you imagine, though?
But
if this is rebuilding, and next year Ngannou fights twice or 3 times, if he were to become champion, and then Conor comes back for, let's just say 2, Nate comes back for 1, GSP will give him 1, 2 maybe if we're lucky, and all the other stars, maybe there's a super fight between TJ and DJ.
Yeah.
And plus, I think next year's the year where they go, we have now signed with, and you insert some TV mogul company in there, and that's going to make them money.
Yeah.
That's why Dana White can tell fans to fuck off on Twitter and not watch if they don't want to. Or Colin Coward, that he's I think he was bitching him out the other day as well. It's just an incredible money-making machine that they have, and there doesn't appear to be any stopping them.
But Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey, they're standalones. It doesn't matter who they face. People tune in. I don't know that they have that with a guy like Tyron Woodley. Like Tyron Woodley needs a dance partner, right? So some of these names that we're throwing out, it's only half of the equation because you have to match them up with someone else.
Right.
So you're taking up even more stars. I think that's their biggest issue is they need these standalone people that can sell pay-per-views on their own.
Yeah.
And I don't think they have that. I think they always need a dance partner.
All right, we got to take a break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on SiriusXM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back. And in the meantime, I'm going to check out how Lonzo Ball did last night. I heard he had almost a triple-double. I think he had 17, 8 boards, and 11 assists. He did have a lot of turnovers, though. And we lost the game. So it doesn't really matter. I guess as long as he's getting better in the losses. And it is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Anyway, we'll be right back.
Do what they say, and your life will be a lot better. Here are Gorgeous and Goes.
Just kidding. All right, here we go. Let's see here. SiriusXM. This is what they want you to do. They want you to turn on the joy this holiday season with your chance to win a trip to one of 4 all-star sporting experiences. The 2018 Pro Bowl in Orlando, the Honda NHL All-Star Game in Tampa, the NBA All-Star Game in Los Angeles, or the MLB All-Star Game in our nation's capital. For official rules and to enter, go to SiriusXM.com/All-Star Trip before January 2nd, 2018. No additional purchase necessary to enter or win. This sweepstakes is not sponsored by, sponsored, administered, produced, or executed by either the NHL entities, NBA entities, MLB entities, NFL entities, or Daryl Schoonover, a.k.a. Titties. All right, let's continue on here with the show. We only have a few minutes left. If you want to call in, it's 866-522-2846. And as far as, do you have your parlay ready to go? What's your recommended parlay plays, Dan?
I actually didn't. I left that section blank for the first time because there's so many firefights and there's so many intangibles that it's tough. There are certain overs that I like the McDessie Trujillo over could be a piece. If you want to hold me a gun to my head, I would say Ricardo Lamas is probably your most reasonable parlay piece as far as a guy who's not priced too high, but he's a favorite that probably should come through if you want to attach him. I can give you some live dogs.
So
I can give
Lamas,
yep.
The over in McDessie and Trujillo.
That's 2 legs on me. What about you guys? You guys want to? We'll make it. Maybe we'll just do it.
This is just a Dan one, yeah.
Okay. Just a Dan one, and then we'll go. Tim Elliott, by the way, is out. He was another one that I thought might have been a good favorite, against the newcomer Menga, but Menga couldn't hit the scale there. And then we got.
What happened with that?
Essentially, he came 5 pounds over. And by the way, follow MMA Junkie's own Mike Vaughn MMA, who posted the story on that for MMA Junkie. And he was cleared, though being 5 pounds over. But Elliott, rightfully so, well within his right, declined. We always hear about the fighter having that option. Apparently, Elliott exercised it. Was not too happy, apparently, too, because I saw his weigh-in photo, and he was giving the Nick Diaz salute on the scale as well. So he's just not a happy camper all around.
So he's saying, wait a minute, I cut to 125. I suffered. You didn't suffer. And you're already 5 pounds closer to being a bantamweight than I am.
I'm guessing, yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I cannot fault him. I know the UFC's probably going, come on, motherfucker. But still, no, I stand with Tim Elliott on that one.
You know who's the biggest favorite on the card, and I wouldn't blame you for putting him in a parlay, and he's not too big where you can't play him, is Julian Marquez. He was a guy on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. I'm not sure if that was one of the ones you guys were at or not, but he was he fought on that day. I believe Dana White had that scrub afterwards and broke the news about John Jones. He fought on that card, Julian Marquez, and he fights Darren Stewart, English gentleman.
Is that Cowboy Cerrone?
There's a lot of Cowboy Cerrones here this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about the other guys? Is that Cowboy Cerrone? No. Okay. Danny, remember I was telling you about them whores? They're with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
There's 3 of them.
But by the way, though, my betting article should be dropping right about now on MMA Junkie, so anybody listening to this can.
So what was the third part? You went with the over in
Trujillo, yeah.
Lamas, and what was the last? You said you have some live underdogs?
Lamas straight up, yeah. My live dogs, the 2 that I'm playing that's listed on there is Teixeira, who is a pick.
Okay.
And as well as Danny Hot Chocolate Roberts. He's my official pick over to Lev.
I like him.
And I decided to put my money where my mouth is. I picked some other dogs that I'm not too comfortable with. For example, Eric Silva over Jordan Mean. I'm just staying away from that fight.
But believe it or not, both guys just don't seem to have their carears in order.
Yeah,
but I think Silva of the 2 is the lesser, just because I can't figure out if Meehan's coming back because he needs the money or he, it just seems like once he retired, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
The mind checked out 3 years ago, and the body's back and he's fighting, but he's not where I remember him.
Darren Silva just never looked the same.
How about you, Amigo? Who you have 3? You can bundle up into a par.
Amigo. I actually like Mean. I want to do Mean, and it's nothing to really do with Mean. It's everything to do with Eric Silva. I don't think he's there anymore. So I was gonna go Mean, Trujillo, and Lawler.
You want to hear something though? I agree.
Don't be mean.
I agree. Mentally, I don't want to be mean, but mentally, you could kind of question, let's just say respectfully, where both are at, right?
Yeah.
But here's what swayed me, because I'm with you. I'm with you on Silva seems more volatile of the two. But for that reason, I played him on DraftKings for fantasy. But for that reason, because he's so volatile, I went and looked at Instagram, see how they're doing. Eric Silva looks in the best shape I've ever seen him in. Even before, well, I don't want to say that. Let's just say even a couple years ago, Eric Silva.
Oh, you mean about the time you saw the camera?
Yeah.
Okay.
He looks super cut coming into this. Like you saw his UFC photos. He's already in there in shape, ready to go. I've never seen him in this good a shape before. So that was the one thing that tilted me that way. But I ain't playing that fight. Forget that.
I like Lawler, Lamas,
okay,
and Ponzinibbio.
Oh.
So I guess
you're gonna parlay two gunfights.
Lawler's
like
my dumb little. It's not really an underdog, you know what I mean? He's a former champ. He's the actual welterweight here, not the guy moving up. He actually fought at middleweight, but technically he qualifies as an underdog. But I do like Lamas, and I do like Ponzinibbio. I'm meant to go against Mike Perry. If I went 5 deep, I guess I'd go Teixeira, but I'm scared. I'd be scared there a little bit. And in the other fight, I mean, Hot Chocolate can look good at times, man. I've seen him through Cage Warriors, so I've seen him for a while.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you guys, how do you think Oluwale Bangbos will do against this Alessio Di Chico? Only because I don't know much about Alessio Di Chico.
I'm glad you brought that up. Di Chirico is actually, I thought about playing him straight, but I actually took him up. He'll be under my prop section in the article. I actually took him for plus 150 inside of the distance. He's probably more like a minus 150 favorite, but about plus 150 inside the distance. The reason is Di Chirico, he doesn't look impressive on paper. Italy's not that big of a scene, but like our friend Marvin Vittori, there's a new crop of guys coming out of there. And I was actually pretty high on Di Chirico about 3 fights ago, before his debut even, because he reminded me of a GSP, the way he hits his doubles and transitions and can wrestle. The transition game is the most important thing in MMA for one, and wrestling is something we usually don't see if we're going to stereotype European fighters.
Right.
So I really like Di Chirico there. He can counter. He's really durable, and he's not shaken easily, which are the two key things against Bambose. Because Bambose, he lives and dies by the sword, right? He goes out there, he's wild, he's sporadic.
He wants to make you a highlight.
But if he doesn't get that finish in the first round, we see it every time. He seems like a nice guy, but nothing against him. But as a fighter, we see it every time. That do or die style, they fade afterwards. So in that type of thing, if there's only going to be one guy left standing, I like Di Chirico a lot there. So I actually sprinkled on him a little quarter unit for inside the distance to get it done.
I only do 25 and pick 5 fighters.
Okay.
And hope to make $500. But I think I'm going to do $50 and just pick 3 fighters. I don't know that I'm comfortable with a 5th fight, honestly.
This card especially.
So yeah, that's who I'm going with.
Okay,
Lawler,
round table
Lamas, and Ponzinibbio. What?
That's a round table pizza.
What is?
$50.
That is, yeah. Well, 2 of
they
them.
Crushed me.
To be fair.
Ooh.
All right. Let's take this last break. We let them pile up here. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on SiriusXM Rush 93. We'll be right back, and we'll be closing up shop soon. Last chance to get in, 866-522-2846 if you want to give us your final predictions for UFC on Fox 26.
They're so fat they gave Dracula diabetes. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
SiriusXM wants you to turn on the joy this holiday season with your chance to win a trip to one of 4 all-star sporting experiences. I just read this. Let me do another one.
You did.
Yeah, here we go. All right. The fantasy football playoffs are here. Listen to SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio and dominate your competition with expert analysis, player projections, and injury information. Go home a champion or just go home. The fantasy football playoffs on SiriusXM, Fantasy Sports Radio, Sirius 210 XM87, and on Twitter at SiriusXM Fantasy. I want to thank all of our guests for the week. We'll do this first. That way we won't run out of time.
I'll take off because it's going to take you a while.
It is. Ricardo Lamas, Paul Felder, Glover Teixeira, Alex Perez, Andre Sukumthot, Danny Castillo, Sodiq Youssef, Lex McMahon, Rafael Dos Anjos, Eric Anders, John McDessie, Ryan Stoddard, Ricky Simone, Felice Herrig. We got to give some credit to Ron Frazier. He popped on for a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Colby Covington. We will be back on Monday. We'll recap UFC on Fox 26. That should be a fun show. I'm sure there'll be a lot to react to there. And then on Tuesday, we'll put a bow on that event and bid our adieus because we will be off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and the following Monday, which is actually Christmas. And we'll be back on the 26th.
MMA history today?
Let's do it.
Or Dan from Oregon?
MMA history today, and then we'll finish up with Dan in Oregon.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Danny.
Wow. So this one might be a little bit harder. Yeah. December 15th, 2007.
Why is everything in... Oh, duh.
Did you just ask why
shut up.
everything's
Just go
in
move on.
December?
Let's move on. That didn't happen.
December 15th, 2007. Sounds Kimbo-ish, but all right. What?
It is not.
Okay. Weight class?
UFC 79?
The weight class is
No, that was at the end of the year. Damn. That was with Vanderlei and
Weight class
Rampage,
is
right?
what?
That's right.
Lightweight.
Or Chuck and Vanderlei. December. Okay, I remember hopping on a plane, but it was in 2009. I was going to say, I saw Diego fight BJ in Memphis. I think it was in December, but it wasn't this late in December. So probably not that. I think it was 2009. So anyway, just tell us.
All right, 18-year-old Roy McDonald defeats Cajun Johnson by TKO to become the KOTC Canadian lightweight champion.
I can see our friends at MMA History Today. We're struggling for a notable event. Hats off to Rory. Cajun, still a UFC fighter, but I don't know that anybody was ever wondering what Tom. Never mind.
What's today? December 15th? Isn't that the day?
Yeah.
We probably never.
King of the Cage. Anything grand go down on December 15th? Thank you, Danny. Was that it?
He missed one yesterday.
Did he?
Yeah.
Did we?
Yeah, you missed the MMA Junkie Radio history today.
Oh.
That was the day that I graduated from college 7 years ago.
Wasn't it December 10th?
I don't know. It just showed up on my timeline.
Oh,
nice.
Okay. We'll finish up with Dan in Oregon. What's up, Dan? How you doing?
What up, gentlemen? Yo, man. What's up with that Pinga guy ruining Tim Elliott's opportunity to go out there and make some money? I love watching Tim Elliott fight, his mad scrambles. He's like the Luis Smolka in my mind. You know you're going to get crazy off in jiu-jitsu in that regard. And this guy just screwed us over. I know he's 13-0 and everything, but I don't know, man. We need to do better at making sure the short notice guys are going to come in making weight, because this is ridiculous is what's going on here. Freaking Tim Elliott's over here campaigning so he can, try and get his full payday out of this, and the UFC is just not doing the right thing. I feel like, we got to get enough
he should get a show.
He'll definitely get a show.
Right, he weighed in. That's for starters. If he can plead his case to Dana, maybe he'll get the win. I don't know. You're right, it does suck, and it reminds me of something I've heard in recent days. Ariel Helwani had said that he spoke to someone in Habib's camp, and he was in the 170 range. But then I saw something when I was going through the underground that put him at 82 kilos, which I think had him in the 180s. And again, I mean, now we're really 2 weeks out. Wouldn't you feel more comfortable if Habib was kind of at that 170? I like all I want to hear is that he's got 10 pounds of water to cut. I really don't want to hear anything more than that, because even if he's done it before, it's like, why? Oh man, why mess with that? I don't know, man. So who knows what's true and what isn't. We got to believe that these people don't just try to intentionally lie or throw anyone off, but that's the one that's scaring me. As far as this one, it's unfortunate for Tim. He will get his show. I don't know about the win. If there's a Twitter campaign, sure, I'll get my retweet on. Just tag me in there.
Dude, Habib is the 165-pound champion. I don't care what anybody says. And if you want to hear the real story, go listen to Josh Thompson on the Big Brown Breakdown. He's the one who talks all about Habib. Back to you guys. I'm out.
All right, see you, buddy.
I love when he sends it back to us. I feel like he's doing the weather.
You're Dan right now?
Yeah.
All right, we're out of here. Be champions. No, just kidding. Lock it in at MMA Junkie throughout the weekend. Who's there? Mike Bond and who else? That's it?
Yeah, you know, some other
Shamakkar's
people.
out there.
Shamakkar?
Yeah.
No John, no Matt, no Steven.
Kenny is right.
Ken Hathaway. Yeah, I've seen him tagged on the bylines. Follow them more closely. Do we have time? I think you look up Ken, I'll look up Mike Bond. Mike Bond MMA, I know that one.
Kenny's there for
What's
sure.
Shamakkar Sandu?
At Sandu MMA?
Yeah, at
he
Sandu
changed it.
MMA. So now all we need is Ken Hathaway. He's our videographer. He's also the co-host of
At
the
Ken S.
MMA
Hathaway?
Roadshow.
There's an S in there, right?
Yeah, Ken S. Hathaway.
Is that what it is? Ken S. Hathaway. There you go. That's our team out there. There's a Bellator going on this weekend as well. That's their final card of the year. This is the second to the last UFC card of the year. If you followed us throughout the week, you know there's Titan FC tonight. There is Victory FC tomorrow night. So if you like combat sports, knockout submissions, all that stuff, I mean, you're all set up. All that information is at the Rumors tab on MMA Junkie. We're out of here, folks. For Danny and Dan and Goes, I'm George. Have a nice weekend. Go Mater Day. Be champions.
Gonna keep on running, gonna have me some fun. It cost me